Hello, my fellow classmates. I would like to discuss with you a significant ethical and organizational failure that was brought to my attention by a dear friend who previously worked for the once extremely popular clothing brand for young adults, Abercrombie and Fitch. The failure of moral and ethical significance demonstrated by Abercrombie and Fitch centers around their previously enacted and controversial policy of requiring employees to purchase and wear while working only clothing that was purchased from Abercrombie and Fitch. This policy not only reflects systemic issues within the company, but also highlights critical ethical questions about employee treatment and corporate responsibility. Abercrombie Fitch, a once prominent name in the fashion retail industry during the early 2000s, adopted a brand image that relied heavily on the emphasis of exclusivity and an aesthetic specific only to certain demographics. To strictly uphold this image, Abercrombie instituted a policy that required employees to wear the company's clothing and only their clothing during working shifts. On the surface, this may have appeared to be a strategy of brand loyalty and promotion. However, in reality, it was only masking the ongoing existence of a wider set of organizational flaws. At the outset, this corporate policy placed a significant financial burden on Abercrombie's entry-level employees. It has been reported that team members were assumed to spend their own money on the brand's expensive clothing, which consisted of $100 polo shirts, $200 jeans, and oftentimes jackets exceeding $500 to simply comply with the company's dress code policy. This was not just a trivial expense, but a severe financial strain for many of Abercrombie's thousands of employees worldwide. This brings us to the heart of the issue. Abercrombie and Fitch was experiencing a systemic failure within the company's values and management practices. By placing the importance of enacting and maintaining the image of their brand over the welfare of their own employees, Abercrombie exposed the toxic rot stewing within their culture, one where appearance and profitability possessed higher value than the overall well-being and welfare of their employees. These policies inevitably led to such harms as decreased morale, higher turnover, and a word on the street that the employer is really not the place for top talent. Consequently, the policy of Abercrombie forcing employees to invest in the company's brand brings to light the ethical dilemma of exploitation. Additionally, this strategy describes a broader conflict that often arises within a company's culture, where the company looks at their employees as simply cogs in their mission as opposed to placing an appreciation on them as valued contributors and individuals. This ideology can hinder creativity and weaken job satisfaction. Looking through the lens of an ethical approach, Abercrombie's employee uniform policy highlights numerous critical failures. Number one, it demonstrates a clear lack of fairness and transparency from senior management and corporate decision makers. In addition to corporate opacity, Abercrombie's regulation disproportionately impacts people that make a low wage, who are most likely to already been struggling in the first place. And from what my friend has said to me, the wages that Abercrombie was paying were minimum wage, sometimes $5 or $6 an hour, to compound the negative effects even further. Abercrombie's social responsibility in this regard is significantly lacking by perpetuating a cycle of economic exploitation and inequality. The best approach for Abercrombie and Fitch to effectively change its policy of requiring employees to purchase and wear company clothing while at work would be to argue for a complete overhauling of their code of conduct and dress code policies through employee engagement and feedback. Abercrombie could administer an internal campaign laying out the financial implications on its employees, aided by raw data showing employee satisfaction and turnover, as well as hold open town halls where employees could vocalize their concerns and potential recommendations. This would most likely result in a cultural transformation where openness and transparency would suddenly take center stage. Abercrombie could go even further by providing free clothing to their employees if they truly wanted to maintain and enhance their brand. However, internally campaigning on policy changes to employees does bring to light the potential risk of coming across with a lack of authenticity, and that would certainly be exacerbated by meeting employees who are resistant to change. To conclude, Abercrombie & Fitch is revealing systematic and ethical organizational failure by requiring